as a veteran, small business owner, what can we do for you?
What we can all do for all veteran business owners is promote each other.
My main mission was to look at tools and technology to leverage small business and give them more of a competitive advantage.
My mission for Veteran Bargains is very simple: to help vets.
That story in itself, to run for Vista City Council, is a journey.
I think this is an opportunity to really collaborate with those gone before us.
It's really kind of a labor of love.
And now your host.
Well, hello. Thank you for watching once again this Veterans Radio Show. I hope that you're having a phenomenal day as you continue to tune in for this Friday Veterans Radio Show and podcast. I'm Laura Torres, your host for today. At our Veterans Radio Show, we talk to heroes who are making it happen, who are taking care of our veteran community through various projects. So we want to welcome our live audience on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and of course, our listeners on Amazon Live, and our podcast listeners. We appreciate your support and your service. So make sure that you do a thumbs up and you subscribe so that you can get the notifications when this segment go live for you. So make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button as well as sharing with those of you, your network who would benefit with this incredible talks with our heroes who are making it happen. Now, let's welcome this particular hero for today, all the way to Arizona, enjoying some great weather today, in fact. I like to think so. Arizona is a great state to go visit. We want to welcome Scot Walker, a U.S. Force veteran, founder of Walker and Associates, LLC. Scot is going to discuss with us how illicit deeds, fraudulent activities, and misrepresentations of facts can just actually lead a few of the challenges that some of his clients have faced and how we can all deal with these. So he's going to talk to us a little bit more about that. But first, I want to make sure that, once again, we welcome your questions and your comments. So let us know how we can best capture your attention so that we continue to tell you more about the Veterans Radio Show. So without further ado, let's bring Scot. Scot, tell us all about you and the reason you are making some incredible work for a veteran community at Walker and Investigations.
Thanks for having me, Laura. And you're right. The weather here is beautiful in Arizona. Usually it's 105, 106, and it's like 75, but it's monsoon season. So I'm braving the wind and thunder and lightning. So great to be here and great to be this is the perfect time to be a veteran business owner. I think, the things that I'm doing is the services that I offer are to really empower not only veteran businesses, but businesses and attorneys with information, and to really try and uncover the truth for people. I think there's a lot of folks out there who don't necessarily understand the value of what a private investigator can bring to their business. And my experience in the military was probably a little bit more unique than most. I joined the military, I actually first joined the Coast Guard and was in what their equivalent to military police would be. And then I transitioned into a criminal investigator role with the Coast Guard and then eventually the Air Force where I retired as a special agent with the Air Force. So that experience, being all over the world doing investigations, really taught me what I am using today to offer services to folks, not only in Arizona, but kind of around the world. I prefer businesses that are international and have international kind of risk and need somebody who will understand that risk.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, it is incredible how sometimes we kind of turn out of the essentials that we all could perhaps use, especially those business owners or individuals, like you mentioned, your clients, that we can actually perhaps maybe benefit a little bit more of certain investigations or finding out of the facts of certain businesses or certain steps before we take over. And the fact that you were able to actually get a little more what would you say, the passion or steer towards this career in the military, that's even more incredible because it really drafted, I imagine, your path towards this. Your military experience helped you launch your business. So tell me about your early experience as a business owner. How did that come all about? How did you connect your military experience in launching your business?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, after I became a federal agent, I thought, well, my retirement or my ability to make a transition is coming up in the next few years. I probably need to figure out where I want to go. And I didn't think I wanted to stay in the government for a very long time, 30-year career. I figured I'll just transition to the private sector and go do something. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it meant. I had no idea what the private sector was like. And so I started looking around, and I was in college and ended up finding a mentor, and that mentor was in the private sector, had a similar kind of law enforcement background as I did, and started talking to him about, I don't even know what the private sector is like. Well, it turns out he ended up having an opportunity to hire me, and I went and worked for a large tech company. It was small when I joined it, it's large now, and I managed their investigations, and I learned about business. After a little while working there, I went and worked for a small startup social media company you probably never heard of called Facebook, and spent some time there. And after that, we moved to Arizona, and I decided to branch out on my own. But the skills that I learned in the military is, I think, what gave me those hard investigative skills and soft investigative skills, because investigators have to seek the truth. We can't have a bias one way or the other. And that is a good foundation for private investigations work. But I learned more about business from Silicon Valley. And so that's why my services, my approach is really to help businesses and attorneys make risk-based decisions with information. We make decisions as people, as human beings, all the time, every day, for all kinds of reasons. But if we had more information, if we had more input, we could make risk-based decisions that reduce risk or transfer risk, and that can have a better outcome. And I really want to empower business owners to make strategic investments or strategic decisions with their business so that they can be more successful. Don't focus on the things that you're not good at. That's what I try to tell people. Focus on the things that you're good at. Let me help you understand what the issue is, and we'll uncover what's going on. And then I'll give you the information, and you can go make great decisions and get back on track with whatever it is that you're doing.
Fascinating. I mean, I would have never thought, that's it all fits in perfect track for you, your background in the military, of course, and being able to do what you did, what you started. Now, we all, although you might have seen like you were on the right track towards a good business approach, I imagine that you faced some challenges at the beginning of your early startup. What were some of those early challenges that you might have faced that perhaps now you reflect back and you're like, oh, I wish I could have done it a little bit better, or I'm glad that was a challenge?
I appreciate every challenge, and you're absolutely right. I'm actually in it now, as we're speaking. My biggest challenge so far, first of all, it's not cheap to start a business. And I really didn't know the investment that you have to make, especially when you're in a business that is heavily regulated. So I have to have a specific license and insurance and bonds and all those kinds of things that to actually execute on the business compliant, and that takes money. And I can imagine that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of veterans that are coming out of the military looking to start their own business, and they really don't, because it's hard to conceptualize what are the costs. And I didn't go in eyes wide shut here. I did know that I was going to have some financial investment here that I needed to make. But I guess, not until you are actually writing the checks do you really know how much everything really costs. And so that I wish I would have known a little bit earlier. Maybe I would have had a different approach. Approaching websites and marketing and all those kinds of things. What I have found is that sometimes you're going to waste capital if you're just in this kind of what I call a test and learn mode. And that's what I was doing. I was testing things, learning, and okay, that didn't work. Need to try something else. Because my marketing and coming on the show, and hopefully, I'm not here to market my skills as much as I'm here to really try and help the veteran community and those who are seeking to connect with veterans and veteran-owned businesses and veteranpreneurs. and help them understand these are the struggles that we all go through as business owners and veterans. But I was always associated with a brand for my whole professional career, associated first off with the Coast Guard, then with the Air Force, then with NVIDIA, Facebook, a consulting company. And I was never my own brand. And that's what I've noticed the most is now that I'm and I'm in a totally new state, spent most of my time, especially my last 5 years of my professional career in the Bay Area in California, and then to move to a whole new state, it can be daunting. It can be scary.
Yes.
But I embrace it, and I love talking with people, as you can tell. Sometimes I don't shut up. Maybe that's one of my weaknesses, but I want to get the word out as much as I can about veteranpreneurs and what our value is to our services to our clients.
No, absolutely. And we definitely love your passion, and you love that you have this very unique service because, you're right. We quite often don't think about some of us don't think about, especially when you are into trying to just launch your business or try to grow or do certain, steps, or we wake up with a business idea and then we meet someone and then we try to do these things. We don't actually take the right steps. And I'm glad that you have this service because you're able to do, real true investigations to get us in the right path. And there's a lot of fraudulent activities out there sometimes that we are not aware of, or we don't think it will happen to us because we have the veteran title on it or the military backing on it, but it does happen quite often. Now, let me just real quick recap, Scott, for our audience who's currently tuning in, and we have some pretty good audience on LinkedIn. So go LinkedIn if you're watching. Please continue to we welcome your comments. We're talking to Scot Walker, a U.S. Air Force veteran, also Gulf, U.S. Coast Guard, right? U.S. Coast Guard. You also joined the U.S. Coast Guard. He's from Walker and Associates. He can optimize a client solutions path by uncovering the truth through investigations and making sure that he provide a good reason for his clients to succeed when they uncover what other people have been up to, and then maybe sometimes things are not shared through illicit actions. So you definitely want to visit Walker Investigations page to find out a little bit more. So Scott, you were talking about some of those challenges and things that you faced early in your business startup. So now that you are a little bit wiser, obviously you went through some really great corporate experiences as well. What would you tell your younger self now that you didn't know back then?
Have the confidence. Don't be afraid so much. I have, and this is a veteran thing too. I mean, everybody's afraid. Right? We talk about this when we go and do dangerous things in the military. We're all afraid, but how we approach that fear and how we deal with that fear is really what's important. But I can tell you, at least in my experience, starting your own business in the midst of a pandemic is probably the most fearful that I've ever been. And it kind of re-triggers a lot of us have post-traumatic stress or some form thereof. And it really re-triggered that for me. And I would wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats. What am I doing? Did I just ruin my life? And, oh my gosh, my family, I got kids in college. Wife's in college. What are we going to do? I think I would tell my younger self, relax, you're okay. You're going to be okay. You just keep pushing forward. And so when that creeps up in the back of my mind, I tell myself, hold fast. It's an old Coast Guard term, hold fast. And that seems to help. But I can imagine that there are a number of veterans out there who are dealing with this kind of crisis of consciousness. Oh my gosh, did I do the right thing? I had a job that, paid well and I got to wear a uniform and serve the country, but now here I am, I'm kind of on my own. That can be empowering and it can be incredibly scary and maybe even at the same time. And so that's what I've gone through. And I'm in a number of veteran entrepreneur programs, and I hear that from other veteranpreneurs as well.
Well, I'm glad that you have had time to reflect back to yourself and into your steps and your actions. And then one investigation at a time, you continue to move forward towards your next option. So with that, I want to ask you, so what's next for Scott in your private investigations career?
Yeah, I am working on a number of investigations for attorneys. I'm hoping to build more business clients as well. I think that business clients don't quite understand the value of an investigator coming in. In fact, I was talking with a business owner, and I said, "Have you ever done a deal with somebody that you probably regret?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Well, if you would have known that that business person was not the right fit for you ahead of time before you started, trading intellectual property or paying for something, wouldn't you have rather known what you were getting into?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And so that's really what I want to try and impart on people who own businesses or who manage business. I talk a lot about the future, and the world is only getting smaller. Our supply chains are getting shorter. We have a more senior workforce that is going to stop working over the next 3 to 5 years. We have a more junior workforce, our millennials and Gen Y. They're coming up, and by 2025, they'll be more than, 50% of the workforce. And so that's going to cause friction. We've already seen it. We've already seen it with civil unrest. We've already seen it with at least in the United States with the pandemic. And so that all of that, I look at that as opportunity for businesses to lead by example, to be inclusive, not exclusive, and to really demonstrate and be an example for the rest of the world and the rest of people in rest of companies in their industry. This is how we should be. These are the things that we should be talking about. No longer can you not take a stance on something. I think trying to be in the middle ground is a tough thing to do. So that's what companies are doing. Now, that's not without risk. So don't go into making a decision about we're going to position ourselves this way or that way without first talking to somebody who can help you understand the risk and who can help you mitigate the risk. Information is power. Data is the new gold. We all know that. And so that's what I want to do, is empower them with information.
Well, thank you so much for all of your great service and support. And talking about risk, we took a risk when we went live and started doing these segments a year ago. And the person who took a risk was Mr. Joe Molina, our founder and CEO, who's here to greet you. And we like to take from time to time the risk to bring him over to say hello to our guests live. And so if we can bring Joe back over. Up front, there he is.
That's right, Laura.
And that's a risk when we bring him over, because he likes to greet you and then he'll take over. Okay. So, hi Joe, how you doing today? Happy Friday.
Good. Thank you very much. And yeah, that is a risk that you take sometimes. I appreciate that.
Are you frozen?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott, for.
It looks like he is frozen.
Am I frozen? I'm good.
I can still hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So again, Scott, thank you. And you're right. Fear is the number one obstacle for so many people. And I tell everyone, look.
We hear you really frozen.
Can you hear me, Scott? Okay. So it is for us is really, I think, important that we learn that obstacles are just in our head, and but it takes time for us to realize that. And one of the things that we do for the chamber and with the chambers is bring people like you, because we like to hear the stories that we're not alone. When we transition out of the military, when you were talking about the different changes and the different transitions that we go through, I thought it was just me. So the feeling of like, man, I'm failing. My family, my life, what am I doing? Should I go run back into the gate to let me in? All those emotions that come through. So but talking to more veterans, talking to more people, realize that it's a common thread. It's just, there's something that happens and we just kind of move along. And that's one of the things that, with the help of people like Laura and Jimmy and Michael and Michelle and Shelly and all those people that make the radio show possible. And it's like, yeah, we wanted to bring this forward so we can bring people like you to express and present all the things that are available and are needed. So I just wanted to thank you. And I see that Kelly Robertson is on the line. I guess you know Kelly. and she's another entrepreneur that we want to bring her on board. But yes, again, just wanted to thank you, meet you in person, Zoom person.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're not in Arizona, because Arizona gets hot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it gets hot. Well, thank you, Scott. Again, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you, Laura, for letting me allow me to come in and say a few words and taking the risk. And one of the things about business, Scott, is like, I think in business,
it's perfect weather. That's perfect weather nowadays. That's hundreds is a new thing. Let's just put it out there, okay? Hundreds is a new thing, especially for the West Coast or the East Coast. Hundreds is a new thing.
True.
All right, that's true. That's true.
That's
okay,
right.
well, thank you,
Joe, so much. And thank you, all of you who are posting your comments. Please, we welcome your questions, your comments for Scott as we continue we're getting ready to wrap up this segment. So I want to ask Scott, I want to put you on the spot and say, how can we all support you? How can we support you? And then also, second question, how can we get a hold of you?
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks. Having more conversations supports us. I have a podcast as well. And when I talk about the future, I call it Protective Future, what's on the horizon. We talk about risks to our economy, our businesses, and everything in between. And support me. Come to my website. I have an events section. There it is on the screen, www.walkerinvestigations.page, PAGE. And in my event section, I have a number of upcoming speaking engagements. I'm speaking to a security association in the San Francisco Bay Area in August. That's the one that's coming up the most recent. I'm also speaking to the Investigations Association in Arizona. I'm speaking about the future of private investigations, and I'm speaking at a security conference in Orlando. And so you can find all of that on my events page on my website. And please come and let's have a conversation. That should be free, right? Having conversations should be free.
It's free and it's worth it, and it's way needed before you take the next step to any process for any investigation, for any business issue deals. Before you actually proceed, you always investigate, right, boss?
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
And
thank you so much for everyone who's been watching and supporting. Again, continue to post your questions and your comments. We will come back and address those for you, as well as connect you with Scott directly. For some reason, he doesn't work out to the tag, but as he mentioned, please be sure that you visit his website at walkerinvestigations.page so that you can find out all the latest things that is going on with him. It looks like he's going to be very busy for the next month or next summer or so. So be sure that you keep up with him and continue to support. Thank you so much. This is the Veterans Radio Show, where we feature military veterans, spouses, and community leaders while exploring heroism, action, and leadership with all of those in our community who are making it happen. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Scott. Have a great day.